The following podcast is provided by Era Living, innovator in residential retirement options since 1987. And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio Network, heard across the USA and on your favorite podcast platform. We are excited today always to be representing and sharing the message of Era Living. And Era Living has 8 communities throughout Greater King County in Seattle, Washington, and their culture is amazing. And one of the things that I'm going to just start this interview on is one of the things I find so remarkable about this organization is that when I speak to the staff at this community, they've been there for like 10, 15, 20, even 20, 30 years. It's amazing to see that in the senior living world. People tend, it's kind of, they go from communities to another. You kind of know that they make the rotation, and yet there's this amazing core of people. And what that means is amazing things. And of course, I was very excited today when I found out I'm going to have the opportunity to kind of meet the person that just cements all of that. And I said, you got some sort of a special karma or secret sauce or something. And that is Matt Bromen. And he is the Human Resources Director of Era Living. Welcome to Answers for Elders, Matt.
Thanks so much for having me, Suzanne. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited you're here. And so what is your secret sauce, Matt? How do you get people to stay for such a long time?
Yeah, I appreciate the preamble there and you mentioning this concept of a secret sauce. I don't know if it's so much of a secret as it's just really great people. I started here 22 years ago, and I fell in love with A, the company, and B, the industry. And we have, as you mentioned, a core group of people who have been here, many of them north of 30 years. And so the secret is the people. And I think the cement, well, I would love to take credit for that cement. The cement really started with Eli and Rebecca and the mission and values. And I know it's super cheesy, and any HR director is going to get on a podcast and say how important the mission and values are. But our mission and values are extremely important to us. That is the cement that binds us all together. Staff, management, home office support. We are all here because of our mission and values.
And obviously those missions and values have to be ingrained in the people that work for you. Tell me a little bit about how that interjects with the workplace.
Yeah, so we do the standard things, in orientation and all of those things that you would expect. For us, I think it goes a bit deeper. And when we're interviewing people, we are really interviewing with our mission and values in mind, particularly our values, respect, integrity, innovation, improvement, teamwork, and excellence. Those things we interview for, particularly when we're looking at leadership positions, knowing that if you hire the right people in management roles, then staff stay with those managers. Staff don't generally stay with companies, staff stay with managers. And so I think that's really important to note that it's not just a little song and dance that we do at stand up every morning, although we do highlight our mission and values every day in our stand-up meetings. It really goes deeper and really drives who we hire.
Yeah. And I would imagine that is reinforced, every day in the workplace. How do you do that?
Well, the decision-making, every day we have to make decisions. Staff make decisions, managers and supportive staff make decisions, our home office makes decisions. And if you're making your decisions with your values in mind, if you're thinking about respect and there's an interaction that maybe could have gone better, then the feedback that we can offer, maybe even offering guidance to a resident is, hey, let's lead with respect. Or if we're thinking about, hey, something didn't go right, then our value of integrity really comes out. And we say, you know what, we own it, we're going to fix it, we're going to try and make sure it doesn't happen again, but we're going to be honest about what happens, right? So every day those decisions are guided by our values.
And I always have believed, in my years in the corporate world, I was managing people, and I always believe that it's important that people understand, number one, where they stand, and
Mhm.
number two, how it, if they need to improve, but also if they're making headway, if you see progress, if you see growth, to guide them and to, support them in making positive changes to, to make themselves successful, whatever that is. And I think that's something that I've noticed with you guys. You are so amazing when it comes to, what do I want to say? Validating people
Mhm.
and making sure that they're respected. I mean, I have had a wonderful opportunity to interview so many people, your head of housekeeping and different, individuals, throughout your, organization. And they all kind of tell the same story of, they've been there a long time, but it's more than, I mean, it's who they are, like
Right.
you said. Now, do you think, what you talk about, you tell the truth, okay? How, or you're honest with upfront. Do you have any like why would someone, I guess my question, what makes that, that kind of culture okay with your employees?
Yeah, I think we have a solutions-oriented approach. So if someone comes up and says, and I've experienced this myself, right? We all make
Yeah.
mistakes. And I think back in my first 10 years at Era Living, I was on the finance team.
Mm-hmm.
And you go you go to my boss, who's the CFO, and you'd raise your hand and say, "Hey, Tim, I messed up on this spreadsheet." And instead of blaming me or wagging his finger at me, it was, well, let's figure out how do we solve the problem, right? So
Yeah.
solve the problem first. And it's a culture where that we really try and reinforce, that we work alongside people, we try and
Mm-hmm.
reinforce, we try and coach up.
Mm-hmm.
Mistakes, of course, happen, and let's
Mm-hmm.
not be heavy-handed or blame. We're not going to shift blame.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you all succeed, I've failed, right? That's that sort of leadership approach, I think, is important to take.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing, when you talk about, I remember I had a teacher, I went to a seminar once about conflict resolution.
Mhm.
And one of the things that they talked about is tell the truth without blame or judgment.
Hmm.
In other words, and then always reach a goal to the conversation. It's my goal that I want to make things better. So it's moving in that direction. I'm sure you do a lot of that type of integration when it comes to, guiding people along the path to their career path.
Yeah, well, certainly along their career path, and we have some really terrific examples of a career path where people have been successful. They have really integrated themselves with our mission and values, and then the sky's the limit. One of my favorite examples is a terrific human being. Her name is Suzanne. She's the executive director at our University House at Issaquah location. She started off as a food server right out of college.
Yes.
Of course, was quickly promoted to a lead food server, became a dining director, transitioned to administrative services director, which is kind of like a business office manager, entered our edit program, our executive director and training program, and then became an executive director. So this path
Yeah.
from food server, now she's a unique individual, right? Very special and a highly accomplished leader already. But that path was available to her because she really embodies our mission and our values.
Yeah.
Again, I know it's really cheesy to keep bringing up mission and values, but it's in everything that we do.
Well, it's clear it is. And it's not just something that you paste on the wall. It's
Right.
You have to have to live these things each and every day to focus on. And it's kind of like, I use the term mantra. It's like how you and it's like when you said it starts from your leadership. One of the things, when I was coached when I started my company, it's like the CEO inspires the mission and the vision. That's the number one job over everything else. And that is, that's how effective the organization is, right? So when you're saying that, it's clear that it's absolutely ingrained. Now, tell me a little bit. I just want to touch on, I can imagine the interaction with residents is amazing.
Yeah. So for me, in my role at the home office, of course, in my first 10 years in finance, I had very little interaction with residents, unfortunately. In my role as human resources director, I'm able to connect with the communities and And one of my favorite things to do is to walk the dining room if I'm there during lunch or during dinner. And, you know, it's a new face sometimes for people, and in some cases it's a new person to bring up concerns to, which is fantastic. And it can lead to some, you know, awkward conversations in the middle of the dining room about, you know, hey, there's a tear in the carpet, you know, are you going to address it? And you know, go down those paths. But interacting with the residents is something that I cherish, because I get it so seldom, and I know that's so very important for our community teams.
Absolutely. And also thinking about too, just on the whole part of it too, I can imagine, you know, the longevity part of for the residents to see that familiar face. It's that consistency. It's knowing that I'm home, and change is hard. So when new people come in all the time, it's like there's this interaction of, you know, having to adjust again to new staff. So you guys really don't have a lot of that, because you keep people for so long.
Yeah, I think there are some critical positions that, and I'm not just talking about leadership positions, caregivers who've been with us 30 years, people in housekeeping.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's not just the leadership that's been here that long, and our residents absolutely appreciate seeing the same people. You know, candidly, turnover has been difficult coming out of COVID. There was
COVID.
People, it was a very difficult time. Our residents were so resilient, and our staff were so resilient. And we do everything that we can to try and encourage people to stick around.
Well, Matt, it's been such an honor to talk to you. And I am so excited to share with our listeners a little bit more about the culture that I get to watch and be a part, feel like I'm so privileged to learn about you guys. And so in the meantime, how do we reach you? What's your website?
Our website, thank you for asking. Our website is eraliving.com. And of course, we have a careers page, but I'd really encourage anybody to check out our entire site. We have some really cool testimonials, videos, all of those sorts of good things. So please come visit eraliving.com.
Absolutely, Matt. And for those of you that are in King County, Era Living has 8 communities and probably one near you. So check it out. Thanks again, Matt, for being a part of the show.
Thanks for having me.
Era Living is locally owned and operates 8 premier retirement communities in Seattle, Renton, Mercer Island, Bellevue, and Issaquah. From vibrant, independent living to compassionate assisted living to secure memory care, Era Living respects and honors older adults by enhancing the quality of their lives. Learn more at eraliving.com.